The tragic death of 2-year-old Kaylee Anthony in 2008 gained national attention when Kaylee's death was ruled a homicide and her mother, Casey, was charged in connection with the murder. Nearly 15 years after Casey was acquitted, questions still remain about her father's potential involvement. In response to her recent accusations against her father, George, and Cindy Anthony agreed to undergo a lie detector test to answer lingering questions about George's involvement in Kaylee's death in a new A&E special hosted by journalist Tony Harris. So first of all, thanks for being here with us this morning. So we're talking about the Casey Anthony case. Obviously, this has been a widely publicized case. Many of us watched the trial as it was unfolding. It's been years since that trial back in 2011. So take us to now. There have been allegations against specifically George Anthony and his potential involvement in this case and in the death of Kaylee Anthony. So now, all these years later, what do you think that this lie detector test will prove? And do you think it will help to answer some of the questions people still have about this case?
The idea of sitting down in front of an experienced polygraph examiner, FBI trained George Olivo, who is brilliant at what he does, and everything in your physiology is being recorded. Stakes, as you can imagine, are extraordinarily high, and I can't wait for people to see the exam portion in particular, and to come to their own conclusions about whether the questions are answered sufficiently for them, particularly people who have immersed themselves in the story for, 14, 15, 16 years now.
I really want to talk about the emotions and the feelings during that interview. You were there, of course, you interviewed them. You were also there during the polygraph test. Kind of describe to me, I can imagine how intense that must have been. What was the feeling like in that room?
It was every bit of a roller coaster. We describe everything as being a roller coaster ride. This is truly a roller coaster ride. And there were moments when I thought the marriage wouldn't survive. There were moments when I didn't think we would get through the interview. There were moments when I had to take George physically away from Cindy. And just because of the tension in the room, there were anxiety attacks on camera that you'll see. So emotionally charged is an understatement. There was this kind of connection that Cindy and I had because she wanted me to see and feel her responses to these questions. So you'll see her often, she's grabbing me. And at some point I realized that that's the way she wanted to communicate with me. So I'm grabbing her, and we're just in this stew of ever-present grief together. And it was a lot.
So one final question for you. Of course, you know, as we said earlier, it's been almost 15 years since Casey was acquitted back in 2011. Do you feel like too much time has passed for this? Some people may say, well, why hasn't the parents spoken out earlier? Do you think that too much time has passed, or do you think that now is the right time for them to speak out and come forward?
I think at some point, everyone kind of wants an opportunity to defend themselves if they feel they've been maligned and wronged in a significant way, and they wanted that opportunity. So whether or not it's too much time has passed, all I know is, just judging on what I see in kind of my social world, now that the notifications have gone out everywhere that this is happening on Thursday, there seems to be an inordinate amount of interest in this story, and I think I'm happy to have been involved in the process. I'm happy with our work in it. I'm happiest about the fact that we recenter Kaylee in this story.
Casey Anthony's parents, the lie detector test premieres tonight at 9 on A&E and on Lifetime. It's a very interesting interview. So I'm from Orlando, as you guys already know, and this happened in Orlando back in 2008 when Casey was originally arrested. So it was interesting seeing doing this interview and kind of everything that's happened now since then.
Yeah. And we were talking yesterday. I also spent some time in Orlando, and I told you the day that I moved there from North Carolina, we drove into Orlando, and that was the day that she was being sentenced. So the helicopters were like circulating the courthouse downtown Orlando, and it was crazy. It was a very polarizing case. I know a lot of people followed it very closely. People still kind of skeptical today. So.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. It's been so many years, but a lot of people are still so interested by this case. So this special should be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see it. Thank you.